What's shaking, bacon? I had my bod pod this morning. It was a really early appointment. I had to drive about 45 minutes out of town to go to this clinic. The bod pod, as I explained in my first video, it's like a different type of DEXA scan, and it measures body fat, muscle mass, bone density. And the interesting thing about it is it does it through like air pressure. It's a totally different technology than a DEXA scan. The numbers are comparable, so I'm doing this one more frequently than the DEXA scan because it's good to see what different pieces of equipment are registering and why. So I'll talk to the DEXA scan people why they believe this is different. If you can, I'd really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up, and if you subscribe to the channel, that would be great. And leave some comments, leave some questions. There's probably a slew of questions or maybe ideas you might want to see for future videos. I already spoke with Debbie with the bod pod, and she explained why the bod pod has good numbers and why they're reliable numbers. So we'll go over the numbers in a minute. So there was a change, but nothing dramatic, but definitely in the right direction. And that's what's important. So I think I can get better numbers on month 2 for a couple reasons. One, I'm going to make sure to get at least 3 to 4 pounds a day, but try to not eat as much as 5 or 6 pounds a day. I still don't go to the bathroom much when I'm eating 5 or 6 pounds a day. I always measure the food pre-cooked, so that at least it's consistent that way. The other thing is I've had to watch my back. So even though I've been doing deadlifts and squats in my routines, I have to keep the weight relatively light because I have a weak back. I've had back problems since my early 20s. I was, I think 21, maybe 20 or 21, and I was in pretty good shape. I was a strong guy. I wasn't chiseled like a Greek god or anything, but I was in good shape, and I was picking up a pail, it was away from my center of gravity. I tried to pick it up just enough to drag it towards me, and I threw my back out. Went for a couple massages at a massage therapy clinic, and I had on and off back pain for years, and it was pretty bad. Got sciatica a few times, and I don't want to go through that again. And when I do squats and deadlifts, it makes my sciatica flirt. So when I do a squat, I like to involve my glutes as much as possible. They're the prime movers. That's the best way to do a squat. When you do a squat and your back is on an angle more like this, it's too vertical. So that a high bar squat would do that. And when you go down, it puts a lot more pressure on your quads. And that's good if you want to get a good quad workout. But usually when you're squatting, a lot of people want to get the glutes in there. So that's the biggest, most logical muscle group to involve. So changing your angle with a lower bar behind your shoulders and an angle more on about a 45-degree angle. So when you squat down, your back goes on an angle probably about like this. And then what happens is when I stand upright, I straighten my legs and then stand up. It's not one solid movement that's fluid between the two. It's straighten the legs and stand up, more like a leg press. And the problem is, no matter which way I do it, especially that way though, it involves the glutes more and it triggers some sciatica. So long story long, unfortunately, I have to watch the weight. And deadlifts, it's the same problem. So, well, a slightly different problem that gives the same end result. My erector spinae group, for any of you people who know what those muscles are there, they go up the parallel to the spine. It's a group of muscles, and some go up quite a ways and some go up all the way to the upper back and to the neck. And what happens is those muscles get weak easy because I didn't do a lot of back exercises specifically with those muscles through the years because they were so prone to injury. It took years to figure out that those muscles were the trigger. I finally figured out what the trigger of my back pain was. I knew my sacroiliac joint was out, and I knew my erectors were the problem, but I didn't know which came first, the chicken or the egg in this situation. It turned out to be the erectors group. Now, of course, it makes sense. The muscles will always throw the joints out, but I figured out eventually why that was happening. And those muscles, when you bend over, just like this, say you're like weed whacking, It's the first thing I did when my back first went out. And I was bent over like this for about 45 minutes using a weed whacker that just had too short of an arm. And those muscles at that position, they're really getting strained, especially if you're holding it there for a long period of time. Deadlifts and squats, I have to do an embarrassing lightweight, and I can't even do high reps because it doesn't matter how I exercise the muscle. And trust me when I say my form is good. I've had a lot of experience with these exercises through the years. I know what to look for. I've been trained in these exercises formally. I know my form is good too, and I've had very seasoned personal trainers who train competition powerlifters train me to make sure my form was good, and there is no problems with my form. I just have a weak low back. When back muscles get weak, they start to marble over time, and under surgery they can always tell, or an MRI, if someone had back pain. I just saw an article on it a few months ago, and those muscles marble with fat because they just don't get the strength back, because people get back pain and then they just back off of their back exercises because they don't want to trigger their back pain when they have a chronic back problem. Well, I'm trying to undo that. So I have to go at it smart. So where I'm going with this is I bought a belt squat machine, and it's a different type of squat. It's a machine where, and I'll post a video of it later, but the point is with this, it's gonna take most or all the pressure off my low back, if anything, traction my back while I do a squat. And I'll be able to really start pushing some weights. So this is good news. So that being said, I'm going to be able to do a lot of exercises on this machine, and that's going to be one of the main ones. So my squat gain is going to go up quite a bit, and that's where a lot of my muscle mass is going to go up. So even though I've had some gains in the last month, they were nothing too dramatic, but all the numbers, fortunately, were going in the right direction. So let's take a look at these numbers. And I only went down just over 1% body fat, so 1.1%. So that's my fat mass. So that worked out to be just over 3 pounds, 3 pounds and change. So that I lost of just fat. Now my fat-free mass, that's my muscle mass and bone density, went up 4 pounds and change, so 4.1. So those numbers are nothing amazing. The cool part is my body mass, my overall weight was the same. Now it shows here I went up 0.4 pounds. Now that number is something that's definitely going to vary from day to day. You're not allowed to drink any water before your exam. You're not allowed to exercise before your exam. You're not allowed to eat before your exam for 3 hours. And I do these exams at 8 in the morning, so that much of a difference in weight I'm not too concerned about at all. Unless it happens month after month, then it's something I'll watch out for. But I didn't know how much I was going to weigh going into my second test. For all I knew, I might be 20 pounds heavier. I was eating between 4 and 6 pounds a day most days. So I wouldn't have been surprised, even though my waist didn't go up. So I had no idea what I was going to get going into this exam. So I was a little bummed out that my body fat percentage only went down a little bit and my muscle mass only went up a little bit more. But at the same time, those numbers are going in the right direction. If this current trend keeps up 4.1 pounds of muscle a month, at the end of 4 months, that's going to be 16.5 pounds of lean muscle mass. It's nothing too shabby, right? That's great. It's nothing great, but I'm going to shoot for 20 or 25, that's for sure. And with my belt squat machine, I think I'm going to be able to get there, because now I'm going to be able to move some big muscles, my hamstrings, my quads, my glutes. This belt squat machine is a really good piece of equipment, and I'm going to maybe do a video on it just to show why it's so good, because it takes all the pressure off the low back. The numbers are going in the right direction. So for the next 3 months, my goal is to go up 5 pounds of muscle a month. My other goal, we'll see if I can bring my body fat percentage down 2% a month. So let's see how that goes. If I can shoot 2% a month, that's gonna be pretty good. Now that's not the goal of this. So if I see I'm losing body fat at a cost of putting on muscle and bone density, because that starts to plateau, it's not what I want. So eventually what's gonna happen when I keep this up long enough, my muscle mass will go up, my resting metabolic rate will go up, and eventually the fat loss will just happen. It's just gonna happen on its own because my resting metabolic rate is gonna be so high. And that's good news. And so that's the long-term goal with it. So Kelly Hogan is a is a carnivore who's been doing this for 12 years, just eating meat. And she had 3 pregnancies doing carnivore. She fixed a slew of health problems she had. And when she first did it, she often talks about how she only lost weight after 6 months. 6 months of doing this. And everyone's like, why are you doing this? You're not even losing any weight. And she said, because I feel good. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing here, because I feel good when I eat this way. My joints feel better. We've gone over the rest of my health history. Anytime I've eaten to lose weight. The side effect was feeling good because I lost all this weight. Now I'm eating to feel good. The side effect is losing weight. That's the goal. That's what everyone should be really striving for. So the weight loss is slower for me than it is for other people, but I also have a really weak metabolism from years of yo-yo dieting. And the last time I lost a lot of weight, I think I caused a lot of metabolism damage. Debbie, the woman who gives me these bod pod scans, she's really intrigued with what I'm doing because she's also a nutritional consultant. And she asked lots of really good questions. She wasn't being judgmental. And the cool thing was she was looking and saying, it's working. It's working. Keep doing it. I told her I was also getting my blood work done. And as long as these numbers continue to look good, I'm going to keep doing this. So I'm not married to it for the rest of my life, because if it starts working against what I want for health, then I'm going to have to stop. But right now it's working for my health. So, and I see myself doing this indefinitely, depending on how my health turns out. Aside from that, I hope you guys keep doing well. And I hope you find this informative in some way, because 1 month's results isn't going to produce a lot. It's how it's going to be after 4 months. And then in January, I might do another 3 or 4 month challenge. Tweak it a little more depending on what I learned from the first 4 months. So that's the goal. Take care, and I'll see you in another video.